welcome back, guys, to the channel. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today we're going to be talking about the Rams rookie draft class. Before we get into it, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, and a comment if this provided any value for your day. Now, let's talk about it, because right now, the rookie class of the Rams in 2021 is kind of full with all sorts of uncertainty. You could say they're behind the 8 ball. I mean, you talk about Tutu Atwell getting COVID, holding him back. He's now back. You have Bobby Brown and Robert Rochelle, who are both, in surgery, or rather just got surgery. One had a torn UCL and the other one had a wrist injury. You have Ernest Jones, who is trying to become the starting linebacker in, the defense. And then you have Jacob Harris, who's dealing with a core injury, although he's been out there and working. And then Ernest Brown, the fourth, who really hasn't gone through any sort of injury concern. Jake Funk appears to be good. We just had word Ben Scaronick is going to miss a practice or two due to a hamstring. So there's a lot of things going on, and we're not really hearing anything about Chris Garrett, the second, the D2 star. So I want to make this video because I'm seeing people already reacting in a way that I would expect. There's not a lot going on. It's just training camp, and we don't really get the full brunt of everything. So when you start to see these rookies go down with injuries and things along that nature, it starts to creep up in your mind. Did we make the right move? So forth. What I will say, and I will talk you down from that ledge, is that this rookie class, there's a lot of uncertainty. But this is why the Rams drafted this class. And before you say anything, hear me out here. The Rams didn't grab Tutu Atwell or Jacob Harris for the sake of them being major contributors this year. If that happens, that's the cherry on top. But those are long-term guys. I mean, when you look at Jacob Harris, they're going to want to keep him slimmed down so he is a force to be reckoned with, an X factor, a guy that can play, flex out, maybe play a little inline, but not necessarily the way Tyler Higbee plays the tight end position. I think that's more going to be Bryson Hopkins. When you look at Tutu Atwell, I think he's going to be a fairly easy gadget guy to kind of throw in and get him the ball in space as he works into the offense, as guys like Deshaun Jackson are no longer on the roster, maybe a Cooper Kupp or a Robert Woods. Tutu Atwell, make no mistake about it, was a long-term type of guy. Then you have Ben Scaronick, who is very interesting. Standing at 211, this guy could potentially kick in at tight end. I don't see it happening this year, but maybe down the road. He's got vice grip hands, so he's going to be great in the red zone, but he's also a special teamer. So it really begs the question how much we will see him this year, especially because Tristan Jackson, we're just hearing so many great things about in camp. It might hold him back a year, which again is fine. You have Jake Funk, who honestly probably doesn't see a carry this year if Cam Akers doesn't get hurt. Now Cam Akers gets hurt, and all of a sudden I think the Rams are more interested in giving Jake Funk an opportunity over Raymond Calais and Otis Anderson Jr. Being that is the case, Jake Funk offers potential in the passing game as well as, running the football in between the tackles, has great speed, but that's somebody that's going to make a name for himself on special teams. He, at this point, I'd say is a lock to make the roster. Ernest Brown, we really just haven't heard a lot of, but you do like that he's in the same group as Aaron Donald. That has to make you feel good. Robert Rochelle, we haven't heard a lot of, and now he has the wrist injury, and he's getting surgery, and he's literally right in the bed next to the surgery bed next to him, which is Bobby Brown III. And the reason I say that is because Bobby Brown III is having some fun with this. He's making these videos and, putting them on Twitter. So he's making fun of the situation, but make no mistake about it, it is frustrating for them. I think that's the best way to kind of cope with it. Tearing your UCL is not the greatest in his thumb. So here's what's going on. Right now, if you're doing the math, Tutu Atwell is back from COVID. We will see what he does, but right now he's behind everybody because he hasn't had the opportunity in training camp the way other guys have. And I think really what this has done is this has merged Tristan Jackson into an opportunity to win the fifth wide receiver job behind Deshaun Jackson and Van Jefferson. and might push Tutu Atwell to the 6th spot. And if they keep 7, maybe Scaronick. But if not, Scaronick is probably looking at a practice squad stint. And that's just the crazy, next man up culture of this league. So to recap, Tutu Atwell's back from COVID, but he is behind. You have Ernest Jones, who has been there all, the whole way. He's a guy that they love, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not backing down on my prediction. I know Kaiser's been taking first-team reps with Kenny Young, but I think he's going to be starting because they're going to see preseason, and this guy's going to be able to carry the load, especially if he's not the one who is going to have the green dot, which it sounds to me like it's going to be Jordan Fuller. If that's the case, then it's easier for Ernest Jones to start. I think he starts. And then looking at, Bobby Brown, I think he's just going to be behind because of this, this injury. We don't know how long it'll take. It's not going to take too long, but we don't know if he's going to miss a preseason game or not. And if that's the case, I think you're looking at a guy like Greg Gaines getting the opportunity over him. And, Bobby Brown is, 21 years old? I mean, again, another guy that was drafted for the long term, a guy that's probably going to take over for Sebastian Joseph Day if they don't bring him back, or A'Shawn Robinson. So I'm not too worried about that. Then you look at, the 4th round pick in Jacob Harris, and Harris is back. He was dealing with a core injury. He's back, and I think he's going to be, a weapon in this, this offense. And I think he's going to have more of a production standpoint than any other draft pick aside from Ernest Jones in his first year. I don't think that makes him the number 1 tight end, though, and I don't think Tyler Higbee is necessarily traded tomorrow. I think there's going to be a learning curve, but I think they're going to use him in opportunities that get him involved. So you have to feel good about Jacob Harris long term. Ernest Brown, we just don't have anything on, so it's going to be a matter of watching the preseason. We have the film. I went through the film. I like him. I like him a lot more than I did coming out initially, but we just don't have enough information. The good thing is being quiet on the defense is not a bad thing, and another thing is he's staying healthy. He's on the field, so that's going to give him an opportunity to compete. Then you have Robert Rochelle, who, again, the wrist injury, had to get surgery on. That puts him behind the 8 ball. I definitely think it takes him out of, cornerback 3 competition. He's looking at the 4th cornerback spot and maybe even the 5th. This is, make no mistake about it, this guy was a long-term addition. Like, he's somebody that's coming in with a fantastic, body structure, exactly what they look for. The measurables are off the charts. And that's the thing for them, is that that's what they're looking for. He doesn't have to play right away. Maybe, if Darius Williams isn't brought back, then maybe they hustle and try to get him starting next year. But they did draft David Long in the 3rd round, and they would have to hope that he's going to step up this year. If not, it'll be Dante Dion, in my opinion. Then, of course, you have to look at, the back end of this draft. And, of course, Chris Garrett, who, again, is quiet. And what I'll say is they just put on pads, so you're finally getting an opportunity to hear a little bit about the defense a little bit more, especially the pass rushers. Sounds to me like Justin Hollins is leading the way for the outside linebackers aside from Leonard Floyd, which doesn't surprise me. You have 2 guys that have injury concerns in Obanai Okoronkwo and Terrell Lewis that I would definitely argue have, basically thrown a wrench into their development. But on top of that, this is a huge opportunity for Chris Garrett, and I think you're going to see that opportunity come to fruition, in the preseason. So we're not really going to see a ton of it, but maybe, now that they're getting the pads, we'll hear a little bit more about him. But again, another guy that's on the field, you're not hearing anything about injuries or anything. That's a good sign for Harris, or rather Garrett. And then, you look at Ben Scaronick, and he's been turning heads. He's been having a good camp. So the fact that he, suffered the hamstring issue, that's kind of annoying. But I do think, regardless, he's either going to make the roster as the 7th wide receiver, or they're going to make an emphasis to place him on the practice squad. They want to keep him in the building, clearly, and they like him long-term. So, again, another long-term pick. And then finally, Jake Funk in the 7th round. He's the guy that's way ahead of expectations, in my opinion. I had a 6th round grade on him. They got him the 7th. But Jake Funk, really, to already be the running back 3 over Raymond Clay, who was on this roster last year, has more familiarity, is saying a lot. And on top of that, what you're getting from him as a special teamer is just gold. So, right now, you have to feel good about the rookies and where they're at as far as, it goes with Harris and Scaronick and, Funk, and, of course, hearing about Ernest Jones. I understand the worry about Tutu Atwell, but I would just basically ask you to just, chill with that. Don't put too much pressure on the guy. He wasn't brought in to be the number 1, number 2, number 3, even number 4 receiver. He came in with literally zero expectations his rookie year. The Rams made that obvious. While they picked him in the second round, they know they're a Super Bowl contender. And this is also, it kind of goes along the lines, you can call a team win now all you want, but it doesn't matter when we're talking about the NFL draft. And so I think that's really a big thing here. And it's something that makes me definitely very excited, looking at this team and everything. So you have to feel good about that. Again, we'll see. We'll definitely see how things pan out. But right now, pump the brakes. It's not bad. This rookie class is exactly what it was supposed to be. They're all guys that are going to contribute long-term. They were drafted for a bigger purpose than just this year. And just because you're win now doesn't mean that you can't build for the future, and that's exactly what the Rams are doing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it makes sense. If it doesn't, feel free to come at me on Twitter at JKBogan. We'll discuss it, or you can drop a comment. We'll discuss it. All right, and again, I'm Jake Ellenbogen. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys soon. Later.